This video was originally made with Valentine's Day in mind, but yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. I couldn't make like a over 40-minute video in under 2 weeks. Sorry, but hey, I'm not just single on Valentine's Day, I'm single every other day of the year, baby. So let's get this literally me film ranking started. Today, I will be ranking around, give or take 18 films that have touched the hearts of many people around the world for being real. These 18 films are a part of the literally me pantheon of movies that have struck a chord with the lonely crowd. There isn't an objective listing of these somewhere, and what is and isn't on this list is subjective, but know what? I know it when I see it. I know my little Ryan Gosling when I see one. But what films count is based off the criteria I basically just said, and I will be going over them, listing why they're on here as I list them off. The films are Blade Runner 2049, Drive, Taxi Driver, Fight Club, Nightcrawler, No Country for Old Men, American Psycho, The Wolf of Wall Street, The Matrix, Lars and the Real Girl, Her, 500 Days of Summer, Edward Scissorhands, Last American Virgin, The End of Evangelion, Joker 2019, with its sequel getting grandfathered in, and Scott Pilgrim. From my knowledge, nobody has done a ranking video similar to this before, and I anticipate on finding out the fuck why. I overall recommend all the films I just listed except for what's gonna be last place, because most of these have really something good to bring to the table, at least one scene that's worth checking out the entire thing for. They at least have something to watch it for, alright? And the top 3 of this literally me ranking are also my 3 favorite films in general. So, my chuds, may the worst idea for a ranking video begin. 18 films remain. The die is cast! May I introduce to you the abomination to all that is art, Joker 2. This film is so obviously deplorable that I do not even need to give critiques about the film to prove why it is an atrocity to life. I just need to list facts about it. So, let's go! The first film was a quiet and somber masterpiece complemented by beautiful violins and occasional jazz. But the sequel decided we're gonna be a jukebox musical. A jukebox musical is a musical where no original songs are used at all. Typically, they at least have the decency to include popular songs from that you might even recognize, but no, we're croaking out 1940s big band. I like the genre, it's just that Joker 2 is just the worst thing this happened since sliced racism. How about the fact that Joker 2 reverses the entire character arc of the first movie? How about the fact that the main character we've been following for the past 2 movies was not actually the Joker and is stabbed by some random person in a hospital hallway as one last middle finger to the audience in this film? Then the culprit does the face cutting thing, even though Christopher Nolan said not to do that? How about the fact that Harley Quinn is given little to no screen time despite being one of the most marketed aspects of the film and one of the most obvious things to include in a Joker sequel? How about the fact that the title itself is impossible to pronounce and that the poster is so horribly photoshopped? Yeah, the flaws begin before you even watch the film. But back to the title, just because something has French in it doesn't make it cooler. The only two languages you can do that with is kind of Spanish and Japanese. Now onto the actual critiques. Joker 2, Folie à Deux, isn't deep. Taking shots at your own core audience that gave you $1 billion does not a Metal Gear Solid or Hotline Miami 2 make. Do I make myself clear? If you want to take shots at your own audience, how about I actually have a point? This film wasn't made for any artistic reason, only profit. The first one made money, so let's make another one. This creature spawned entirely out of hatred, spite, and Warner Bros. Greed. It wasn't even a pander piece to the original fans like Megamind 2. Yes, Megamind 2 is better than this, don't at me. It was made for no one. It is nothing. The film is a black hole where art enters and nothing comes out of it. To repeat what I just said, I recommend literally every other film in this video except for this. Even the film right after this in the ranking, I recommend seeing at least for one scene alone. Joker 2, however, is my least favorite piece of media I have ever had the pain of experiencing. Joker does not fit into a big band jukebox musical for the following reasons. This is wildly out of tone with the original film. Jukebox musicals are doomed to failure because these songs were not made with this random plot in mind, and Joaquin Phoenix should not be the main character of a musical despite being a really good actor. He just doesn't have a singing voice, and nails on a chalkboard when he sings. This crime against our Lord and Savior makes Amelia Perez look like Hamilton in comparison. This film is an utter desecration of the arts, and Todd Phillips has lost all glory. Guess he couldn't piggyback off of Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy. Guess copying fucking High School Musical will have to do this time. May nothing like this mistake happen again. Let us escape to the next film. 17 films remain, and 17 of them are much better than this piece of waste.
My heart, I loved her. Well,
I'm not gonna be angry as I was last entry, don't worry. 500 Days of Summer is overrated. There, I said it. There really were some good ideas here, but they just weren't executed that well or interestingly. Right? I do not care for 500 Days of Summer. It insists upon itself. To explain what the film is in the first place to people that don't get it, the premise is that the main character, Tom, has spent, well, 500 days with Summer. The relationship doesn't work out that well in the end, and that leaves Tom to reflect on things. It presents these ideas of deconstructing the rom-com, but my mind just doesn't do anything that cool. For example, I'm talking about the concept of Tom having a better relationship with a new woman he met instead of Summer. Yeah, we really don't get to see much of that or get any evidence that Autumn is better than Summer. If you made me describe why I don't like this film in one sentence, it would be the certified lover boy of movies. It feels corny, it's boring, and to repeat what I said earlier, insists upon itself. It's a romantic comedy where the romance is uninteresting and it is not funny. Not funny. Didn't laugh. To get to the Tao character, I just don't care for Summer that much as a character. Just isn't interesting, and I get that she's meant to be just a normal person. Normal people can be interesting. Now on to who I side with, Tom or Summer. This is the media literacy question of the night right now. Both were in the wrong. That's the point. May I please keep my media literacy badge? I just side with Tom more because he's just kind of a more interesting character, is more charismatic, and does less wrong. Alright, I've done enough hating. Time to give the film its flowers that it deserves. I kind of like how the framing device of a parody of rom-coms is set up. Not executed though. And I love the expectations versus reality scene. It is heartbreaking. The editing is perfect. And the song in the background is just amazing. I listen to it recreationally, bro. I'd still recommend the entire film just to build up to this one scene alone and to recognize that all of my film opinions are objectively correct. But the expectations and reality scene is absolutely where the film peaks. Now, this is the literally me real ranking. So how relatable is it to me in particular? Inabrahe, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd score its relatability a 6 out of 10. Me and Tom have around the same personality and have a worldview inspired by the fiction we consumed at an early age. 16 films remain.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
The Last American Virgin is a raunchy teen comedy centered around a group of 3 American teenage boys trying to find women in their place in the world and dating market. It is aggressively 80s in every way possible. The film is laced with needle drops from the 80s. Every time a needle drop happens, I was mentally preparing for Tang, a refreshing orange drink that is perfect for when your best just isn't enough. It is also a subtle commentary that requires around 200 IQ to understand about the expectations we place on the young people to lose their virginity at such a painfully young age, or else they're seen as losers and failures to society. This film portrays a painfully dark reality under what living under these expectations is like. Even down to the poster, it gets across its messaging subtly. The main love interest, Karen, is presenting herself to the camera and all these boys, but when you look at her face, she doesn't want this. She's just going along with the society we live in and what is expected. Although I'd forgive you for not noticing all the subtext and social commentary. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand. Now on to the elephant in the room, the movie's strange ending. If you do not know about the ending, but have been enticed at least a little bit to watch this film, please skip this segment with the help of the timestamp on the screen right now, and then go watch the film yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Spoilers! This film ends with the protagonist finally getting the girl of his dreams and doing the deed with her. She then gets pregnant and she has to abort it because everyone in this scenario is, may I remind you, a teenager. They can't even drive yet. Afterwards, she then leaves with Gary, the main character, for his friend that treats her like nothing. Gary then drives off and then the credits start playing. We don't get to find out what happens next, and yeah, that's kind of it. It suddenly goes from a raunchy, politically incorrect, and rough as nails 80s comedy to something dead serious with abortions and country. The ending, to dissect what just happened, the ending has Gary achieving what is expected from him in American society. He achieves the dream of the ideal American man, but with a major cost. The world chews him up and spits him out as he learns the truth of this abhorrent, disgusting world. An appalling ending to the 80s most subversive comedy movie when you really think about it. But if I'm glazing the film so much, especially its ending, why is it so low? I know a lot of the jokes just didn't hit that well. Can't name that many jokes that really hit hard. If the film was funnier, it'd be much higher, but since it isn't, it's third to last. I know this film isn't in most modern discussions the literally me meme, so I don't know, I'm just placing it here just for the shits and giggles. I know relatability 6 out of 10. I will be maidenless for the foreseeable future. I know women aren't just gonna choose a manlet dork that makes YouTube videos about internet horror. 15 films remain.
Now we both look Asian. He raving and I'm drunk. I got dank shit in my cup. You know what I'ma do to you? I could get real used to you.
Blade Runner 2049 is mid. I liked it, but I just don't get the people praising it as a 10 out of 10. Alright, yet again, I did not care for Blade Runner 2049. However, it does not insist upon itself like how 500 Days of Summer does. Blade Runner 2049 is the sequel to Blade Runner, the sci-fi seminal work that heavily inspired the more popular sci-fi series Star Wars. Blade Runner 2049 is about Officer K set into a dying world that dehumanizes replicants, which are basically just synthetic humans. Eventually, he finds Officer Deckard, the original protagonist played by Harrison Ford, who is not Joe Biden. I bet you are baffled, befuddled, perplexed, and puzzled to find that in a video ranking every literally me film, Blade Runner 2049 ranks in the bottom 4. I just didn't connect with the plot that much despite liking the original and connecting with the metaphors about how society uses various mechanisms to dehumanize people that deserve love and support. Blade Runner 2049 just kind of bored me, enough said. I wasn't that hooked throughout the film, having a more interesting mystery, which was what the film was kind of based around. I forgot the mystery it was built around. I think it was trying to find a kid or something. I don't care. But it is still so beautiful, man. Like, I have the film as like a desktop background. Sure, mostly because I love Ryan Gosling, but you get the point. So many shots of this film are art pieces that I'd gladly put on my wall. I also recommend seeing it because after seeing it, you can understand the cavalcade of memes made about it. Now, how literally me is this film for me in particular? Not gonna lie, didn't relate that much. 5 out of 10 relatability. 14 films remain.
Hey guys, my name is Rick Hutzer here with Airgun Web and Airgun Pro Shop, and today we're going to put all the pieces together in our commercial fill system. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
No Country for Old Men is a western centering around a drug war and the chase around it. It has the best of both worlds when it comes to entertainment. It is really fun to watch and really smart. You're having fun while becoming an objectively better person because you saw the film. To see the main villain, Anton Chigurh, do what he does is just alluring. He's an enigmatic being that appears out the corner of your eye. We don't know his backstory, his motivations, his ideology, or even his nationality. He doesn't even lose in the end. He just gets hit by a car, gets patched up, and just walks away. He's like Heath Ledger's Joker, but adapted for the Western. At least we got a good idea of the Joker's ideology and nationality. This is because Anton isn't meant to be a person. He's literally evil incarnate. He's meant to represent the ever-enduring evil of the world that lasts until its beginning, until its end. The reason why the ending barely exists is because Ed, the guy mainly trying to stop Anton, gives up after realizing he cannot save the world on his own. He needs to keep passing the torch over and over again so that the next person can be the enduring light and the fight against evil can keep going. It is a really simplistic version of the true message of the film, but let's keep it a little bit brief. It's a very dry film with a heavy atmosphere and has a lot of malaise of evil. The colors are washed out, the music is minimal, and for being a Western drug chase movie, you don't get that many high action scenes, at least from my memory. I know, I'm stupid. To put it simply, this film has aura, like unbeatable levels of aura. That's why there aren't many fights. The characters are aura farming the entire film. I recommend it mostly for the villain, but not much else. Also, I don't get why this is marked in the literally me subgenre. I don't know. Is it because Anton classifies as a Sigma male? I don't know. There's not a cell of Sigma within me. 0 cells of Sigma. 13 films remain.
We got important things to do. It's her and me and you and pink goes with everything.
Her is a science fiction, scrap the fiction because it became real, movie about a man who dates an AI chatbot. As you can already tell, it is insanely accurate to today. Seeing how this film became real is really sad, considering how everyone nowadays is incredibly isolated. Totally not because on a international government bent on making us more isolated for an inevitable techno-slavery state. But hey, let's stop thinking about that. Hey, shut up. This film is absolutely gorgeous in its scoring, acting, and visuals. This film truly demonstrates how a film with basically only 2 characters can be really interesting. Over time, the only 2 characters that matter are Theodore and his computer. This is why the poster is truly genius. All that matters is Theodore and her. So that is all the poster shows, on top of a pink background of love. It's a pretty interesting novelty watch because of all the things in the film that became reality. I really recommend it. I don't relate to the film, alright? No relatability here, alright? Alright, put this on my mama. I am not dating an AI chatbot. 12 films remain, bye! Lars and the real girl took me by surprise in such a high degree that I can barely process it. I thought it was just gonna be a cheesy comedy about crazy person who can't find a girlfriend. This turned out to be an emotionally resonant and somber watch that almost made me tear up. If you don't know, Lars and the Real Girl is a film with Ryan Gosling, the king, playing a man named Lars. Lars orders a life-size doll off the internet to pretend to be his girlfriend after being a failure with all the women in his life and having extreme social anxiety. At the request of a therapist, everyone plays along with his delusions of Bianca being real, plastic doll. They go absolutely mad with this idea, doing everything they could with a premise like this. The plastic doll, Bianca, gets so much characterization, not despite the fact she doesn't move or talk, but because she doesn't move or talk. She gets more characterization than most normal love interests. Summer. Everyone in town imposes their beliefs and projections onto Bianca. It's a stunning metaphor for how we project ourselves onto other people and shape them heavily through our view of them. When Lars finds an actual real woman, a real hero and real human being, one could even say, that actually loves him, and a social group that wants him to stay here. After this, Bianca starts to die as the concept and need for something like Bianca fades away. Her funeral scene becomes heartbreaking despite her not actually having much of a character beyond what other people project onto her. Don't even get me started on the cinematography, making each shot look as beautiful as it can be. It's a kind of laid back film, which isn't usually my style, but I give it a high recommendation if you want to chill out and watch a kind of relaxed movie. How relatable is it to me though? 9 out of 10. Certified literally me classic. 11 films remain.
I'm running drown off this way, doing all these shows. I've been on the road, I don't care where I go, long as I get paid. Bad little vibe, she been on my mind. Soon as I get back, she can stay. Do this all the time, this ain't no surprise.
American Psycho is a thriller movie from the perspective of the killer. It centers around Patrick Bateman, businessman serial killer. Also, this might be the most memed film of all time. I have basically seen this film twice, because I have seen at least one meme made out of every single frame down to the last picosecond. And because of that, I just couldn't get all that disturbed by the film because of the association my brain draws with this film and Sigma male edits and memes making fun of said Sigma male edits. As someone who loves internet meme culture, I am obligated to give this film its kudos. I also love this film's protagonist. Despite him being a serial killer, I just can't hate him that much. You get to know him and his charismatic personality super well. You get to see into his head, and over half his dialogue is narrating his own thoughts. One point of contention is that a lot of the non-murder scenes in the second half just kind of bore me a little bit. Every second I was waiting for the next kill, but looking back on it, that was probably done to get you into the head of Bateman. Speaking about the head of Patrick Bateman, the ending. My interpretation of it is that he did at least most of the murder. I mean, it's not that unrealistic at all for powerful people like him to be out in the open doing the worst atrocities known to man and completely get away with it unscathed. Frankly, people as or more despicable than him. Basically, own the world. That's a video for another day. Something like Patrick Bateman happening in our world is not that far from reality. How much of a Patrick Bateman am I, though? This is where I stray from the rest of my fellow alphas and say, nah, he isn't just like me for real. So, 0 out of 10 film. 10 films remain. We did it. We have finally entered the top 10. This top 10 is comprised entirely of 8 out of 10s and far above. This might not objectively be some sort of masterpiece 10 out of 10 like the films right after and before it, but I really like it. Edward Scissorhands introduces us to the best films on this list. It's a comedy and a modern fairy tale about a man whose hands are scissors and must learn how to live in a society. Also, hi Mom. She really loves this film, so I thought I'd give her a shout out here. It's a cute film that is really heartwarming to see. Most of the film is Edward going to love a life with sharp blades at the end of his hands in a really funny way. He becomes a bush trimmer, a hairstylist, a dog Minecraft YouTuber. This film is also a tale about how negatively society reacts to differences, saying to all the weirdos around the world a warning of the evils that await them on the outside. Let's get to that. That ending, dude. It's the perfect way to end the film because of how heartbreaking it is. The reputation he built all gone because of this sentient road spike. It's bittersweet seeing Edward find all the happiness creating the snow for town residents. Great twist on the classic perception of a monster by Tim Burton. If you guys like this video, tell me if you want me to rank all the Tim Burton movies. That'd be a really cool video. If I don't make that video, then this may be my only opportunity to say this. Tim Burton kind of looks like Tom York. Fitting for the films he made, but nice coincidence. This film was made to be relatable to Tim Burton, but how relatable is it to me, the guy ranking all these real movies? 5 out of 10 relatability. 9 films remain.
M&Ms were pushing intolerance, but they've been changed. You're seeing the changes right now on your screen. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible.
Nightcrawler is a drama about a man named Lou Bloom trying to make his way through the news industry, letting the cutthroat industry turn him insane. This film has a surprising amount to say about the news industry. It can bring the absolute worst and subhuman out of people in search for even 15 seconds of the most meaningless fame possible. To give evidence for my claim here, normal school essay style, Nina, the news veteran, outright admits to the news industry's racism, and Lou Bloom is happy to comply. Remember, rainbow capitalism is a front. They would stab you in your back if it made them $1. Lou Bloom outright lets a woman die just for the vine. Absolutely malicious, but a hustler nonetheless. I find it especially interesting how Nightcrawler got its literally me reputation. For the rest of them, it's pretty obvious how the rest of the films got their reputation. Some of them have protagonists that are shy or social rejects, and the other ones have epic Sigma male protagonists. Nightcrawler fits both, but also neither at the same time. The explanation is that looms' morals buckle under the weight of the system he is forced to live under. I kind of feel that, though. Society really does encourage us to stomp over each other, and it could be really tempting to give up what you believe in just for success. We all have that inner monster telling us to give in to the unending evil of society. Another point of relatability was Lou Bloom being a weird little night owl. Yeah, that's me. Literally me score? 8 out of 10. 8 films remain. Whew, let's get this out the way. Fight Club gets a far less favorable reputation than it deserves because of some of its fans. Far too many people have gotten turned away from this masterpiece because of its reputation of alpha male TikTok edits and red pill advice videos. In the public eye, this is no longer a social commentary about the meaningless of modern life. This is the Andrew Tate Sneeko Red Pill movie. That's unfair. To state what I think its politics is, leftist or conservative, I actually think this is a centrist film in its politics. To explain what I mean, the fact that the Fight Club even exists displays a failure on the part of society from all corners of it. The fact that modern life possesses so little life in it from day to day that this eventual terrorist organization needs to exist is itself a nasty reflection of our current world. Let's get to that. The terrorist group. They were right in their original argument about how postmodernism has taken the spirit out of the man and corporate greed will lead to everyone dying in the end. But wrong in the blowing up 5 credit card company buildings. I would like to take note of the specific way they evolve from a simple underground blood sport to a large-scale terrorist organization. In my view, they parallel the Communist Party in growth. The loss of critical thinking and individualism, they all shave their heads, they have to be reminded through chant of someone's name. Just the way they become as dictatorial as the quote-unquote fascist system they overthrow very much reflects communism every time it's happened. To complete the proof that Fight Club is centrist, yes, it's also a critique of toxic masculinity through its villainization of the Fight Club towards the end of the movie, and how the members within it are treated. To cap all of this off, the final shot is 2 people that are very different, uniting and holding hands as the world burns around them, in its messaging, in its text and subtext. It is neither conservative nor leftist. It stands for a world not run by leaders who lead not because they have a conviction to fix this world, but to hold all the power in their hands and crush any threat to it. Fight Club rejects a dictatorship in all forms. To give a conclusion, out of all interpretations of Fight Club, from it being a critique of toxic masculinity, to its interpretation of it as a deconstruction of what postmodernism does to a lonely male, to the interpretation of it's a really good Brad Pitt action movie I watched after getting 4 beers in. Do I have the egotism to say my interpretation of media is the only correct one? Would I commit the, if you've heard of this, the violence of interpretation? Yes, I would. Mine is the correct one. I just proved it. It's my opinion, so I think it's objectively correct. The film's relatability isn't 10 out of 10 for me, not because I'm Tyler Durden, but because I'm the narrator. I know he doesn't have a name from what I know. I also stay up way too late, and I'm going insane because of it. Hopefully, I get to meet Brad Pitt as an award for pulling several all-nighters in a row to get this video out before I turn 50. 7 films remain. I am Jack Spite for the other humans of this world. March 27th, 2025. Taxi Driver is about a Vietnam veteran named Travis Bickle who decides to become I'll give you 5 guesses, and mentally deteriorates over time. At its philosophical core, it's a film about someone struggling with the modern age and its challenges. There is no conviction, no purpose, and only lonely, meaningless pleasure. It's a deeply lonely film to watch, giving you a dangerous level of insight into what loneliness feels like, having to navigate the world with all its horror and issues, feeling like you can never have a single ounce of help. All that can accompany you is your inner thoughts as your mind slips away from you day in, day out. Humans are social creatures, but when we are deprived of that community, especially by a faceless entity of death, we lose our minds. The greatest cruelty, but also greatest gift of being alive is that we can wrestle with the concept of purpose. We're also individualistic, but also the exact same. When we lack a purpose and we have no individuals around us, or the individual quirks of humans drive us apart, we can concoct only the truest of horrors. Being lonely isn't hard, it's impossible. That is the thesis or point of Taxi Driver. Societies, systems make Travis Bickle and people like him. The way we're thrown away as soon as we aren't impressive anymore is a good example of this. Everyday society erodes because of subhuman scum. Take away the ability to trust anymore, even our own bodies and minds. These elites normalize being trash and filth and garbage and feces. So why not counter the end of a world by their hands? By being a trash man. Travis Bickle is a truly captivating character. He's a character study of how meaningless can truly damage you. People get disturbed by him because everyone knows that they could end up just like him given the right conditions. He's a symbol of the disturbed who can't take this anymore. The tagline's perfect. On every street in every city, there's a nobody who dreams about being a somebody. It's a serene Martin Scorsese masterpiece I advise every single soul to experience. 6 films remain.
Now I see it clearly. My whole life is pointed in one direction. I see that now. There never has been any choice for me.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking. All right. So I got to finish this. So tell me.
For most of the films this far, this has been a quiet list. A lot of soft-spoken talking and minimal action in these films. Sure, some of these have had their moments, but this one is a full-on action film from beginning to end. The Matrix is an utter masterpiece. This film is probably the most recognizable on this list. This film has influenced fashion, action, and sci-fi up until today. This film is iconic enough to have created its own saying in common use and genre of YouTube. What is there to not say about this film? I'll try to keep it briefer than the last two entries, but The Matrix is just an amazing action film from start to finish. Great choreography for the fights, hits that feel fast-paced but also impactful, and each fight has great story context and reason to happen. Chief amongst them is the finale that felt absolutely thrilling. This might be unexpected of me to say, but society was right here deeming it a masterpiece. Unlike some films, 500 Days of Summer, this film deserves its fame in the halls of filmmaking, especially action ones. I love how it scratches the conspiracy itch in my head with things such as red pilling, simulated realities, and cognition ruling your world. Compelling film about breaking free from really any narrative per se. A lot of the praise and analysis I gave to Fight Club can apply here, but much better actually. Also, this film takes a lot of inspiration from Ghost in the Shell, which I really gotta watch after finishing this video. It's literally, me score is a 10 out of 10. 5 films remain. Drive is a beautiful film that perfectly captures what being alone feels like. Drive is a movie about the driver who is a getaway driver for criminals. Yeah, he doesn't really have a name, so to speak, because of how much his identity revolves around his job. I really want to focus on the theme of loneliness here. See, outside of the driver, there's a whole criminal underbelly plot with so much going on, but the driver isn't really a part of it. The driver probably knows all these important things are happening, but he doesn't get to be a part of them. Granted, what he isn't a part of aren't the finest things in the world, but the driver still isn't a real part of anything important. He just lives day to day without true purpose outside of his job, being a perfect metaphor for loneliness. Most of the shots with the driver are by himself. The one moment where he gets purpose and romance is torn away from him by people he barely knows. The epitome of this feeling of loneliness in the film is when he puts on a literal mask of a character and watches on as everyone has their fun while the driver stands all by himself. In the end, he abandons the mask and the getaway driver job to truly be himself. Did I mention this film has a great synthwave OST? Just listen to it. At least a real hero, especially if you like electronic music. Just give it a listen. Now, onto the literally me score. 10 out of 10. Thank you, Nicholas Winding Refn, for touching my heart as well as many others so well with your utter masterpiece of a film that I could talk for hours about, but we don't have infinite time here, so 4 films remain.
records show that the witness has indicated Wario, the evil Mario.
Objection!
I'm sorry, the other Mario.
The prosecution rests, Your Honor.
He a monster!
Let's get this out of the way fast. The Wolf of Wall Street and the next 3 films ahead are 10 out of 10s. This means these are genuine masterpieces and have little to no flaws. Perfect films. Now, I've heard it 100 times. If his favorite film is The Wolf of Wall Street, red flag, run away. But not my fault, this film is a genuine masterpiece. I'm just a messenger here. The Wolf of Wall Street is a film about Jordan Belfort and a stock trading company named Stratton Oakmont Inc. This is a comedic piece of Einstein-level genius and satire that exactly 3 people understood. Just like American Psycho before it, it was heavily misinterpreted by those Sigma male accounts that are unintentionally some of the funniest things on the internet. In every aspect possible, this film parodies all that is the rich. The debauchery, the recklessness, the evil, the exploitation, and the invincibility of them all. This film exists in 3 parts: the rise, the party, and the fall. That is why this film is 3 hours long. This film could not be a second shorter or longer to maintain its pacing, comedy, and the story of Jordan Belfort, one of the most despicable but almost entertaining characters put to film. He is real, not just the person he is based on, but the archetype and persona of the wealthy demon who ruins the lives of the people around him and gets away with it in the end. He is also extremely entertaining and funny at every point. I hate him, but also adore every second he's on screen. Speaking about the funny, let's get into that. One of the scenes that is the biggest demonstration of this film's point is when everyone is about to die from a boat crash that was caused because the main character wanted a few extra dollars made off the back of someone's death. During the boat crash, the team is saved with their excess of wealth and purchasing power, proving in a physical sense that are immune to all damage, basically. This foreshadows the ending where, sure, Jordan is caught and serves his time. To refute my last statement, he only spends 3 years, and the jail he is at can be less described as a jail and more an involuntary hotel. He's then released into the world to create another generation of people just like him. Goated villain. Couldn't be me though. Very fitting that one of the longest segments so far belonged to the longest film on here. If you thought that was too much yapping, that the next segment isn't gonna be too shorter. 3 films remain. The podium is set.
My life is like a video game, trying hard to beat the stage, all while I am still collecting coins. Trying hard to save the girl, obstacles, I'm jumping hurdles, I'm growing up
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is an action comedy about Scott Pilgrim who finds a woman named Ramona Flowers and has to battle 7 evil exes to get her love. It's a sharp contrast from the high art 100 IQ filmmaking masterpieces we just got done talking about. But I utterly love this film. While writing this script, editing this video, I've probably listened to the OST like 40 times over. I've discussed this film with every person I know, and I've watched every video essay that exists about this film. Let's begin with the visuals and style. It's styled after rock and classic video games, and since I love both things, I love the combination of the two into this film. Every edit just has so much sauce that helps the comedy and action substantially. It's got an unreplicated sense, and I wish that there was like at least one film out there that had like a similar visual style. It is utterly steeped in its video game influences while not being too extra with it. This film is so far removed from being something like Pixels or Free Guy. The references actually make sense and are forced. For example, when the Link to the Past title theme is playing, when we are getting a vision in a Scott's head, the song used here serves to get across how he views life as a video game, since he's barely had anything exciting going on for him except for being like a bass guitar player up until now, receiving this sudden quest. To talk about another reference I really like, I love the Sonic score sound effect when he realizes that Ramona was by all along. I don't know, just a neat little reference I liked. Did I mention the soundtrack? It is absolutely amazing and better than basically any music out right now. Alright, better than Cardi, better than Eminem, better than Kendrick. Alright, this soundtrack is goated. It doesn't make mistakes like the rest of you. It is better. It is better. Play some music. Alright, now that we're back, let's get to Scott himself. It is easy to root for him, but it is easy to see all his flaws and mistakes that he has to overcome through some silly little video game metaphor. It's very hard to write a character like Scott. One wrong slip up and you're fucking cooked. So you need to strike a balance between likability but also easy to see where they're going wrong, and I think they pulled that off very convincingly. He's also like one of the most relatable characters to me in all of fiction. Relatability, 10 out of 10. 2 films remain. The End of Evangelion is a film that is meant to cap off a 26-episode anime, Neon Genesis Evangelion. The overall premise of the franchise is that a mysterious alien species known as the Angels, and Shinji has to get in the Evas, and Shinji, high school boy turned savior of the world, has to get in the Evas, superpowered robots, in order to defeat these angels in combat. This is not your standard shonen battle anime, however. This is a commentary on them, showing what would actually happen if you just took random high schoolers and forced them to fight for their lives against world-ending threats that look like this! The End of Evangelion is about the aftermath of Shinji learning how to love himself and other people after all 17 angels were defeated. Listen, there is like a one multi-hour long video essay for every state in the country trying to dissect the meaning of this nightmare of a film, but I don't want to wake up from this nightmare. But I am also not going to submerge myself into a new pit of nightmares trying to decipher the meaning of the End of Eva in this video, and I also respect your time. I still have some stuff to gush about. This is the only animated movie on this list, and man, is this absolutely gorgeous. This has by far the most beautiful movie poster of all time, and I had it as my desktop wallpaper for 5 months. Back to the film proper itself. The choreography, cinematography, and animation for that one major fight scene with all the mass production Evas is so masterful that I can hardly believe this exists. It sounds extraordinarily unfair to say that it has one of the best stories to tell on this list, because all it needed to do was cap off an already existing story of a 26-episode long anime. To refute that, it does that job very well, so it deserves to be on this list. How it presents its themes of devotion and human connection are truly stunning and horrific in its dialogue and visuals. Just look at the screen, bro. In the end, its core message is that there is no defeating the true loneliness and evil of being alive, but that suffering textures our lives, however short they may be, and breaking through that is what makes us human and what makes life truly worth living. It is a watch you will never forget, and I beg all of you watching to watch Evangelion. It is a masterpiece. I could go on for so long about how this film has touched me, but to keep it brief, it inspired me a lot and motivated me to make this channel in the first place. Might go in further on that in some sort of special video one day, but not for now. Evangelion is a part of me. 10 out of 10, can't deny that. On my quest to rank all the films adorned with the literally me meme, only one film remains. And buddy, there's only one film that could have topped this list. Only one film that has resonated to the core of me and so many others. This ranking video was rigged from the start. It's time for this 18-karat run bad luck to finally come to an end right where we started. Only one film remains, and only one it could have been.
Well, I'm the Joker, baby!
Joker 2019 is undoubtedly the "we live in a society" movie after all the memes and negative news reports. It is a movie that gives an origin not to a specific Joker, but gives way to how someone can become just like the Joker in ideology and action. Arthur Fleck, someone marked as a hellspawn and subhuman by a society who would beat him to death. Well, given the chance. He, of course, snaps and society wonders how this could have happened. Must have been all his fault. This world's reaction to the movie proves its entire point 10 times over. Arthur Fleck is a symbol. He is the joke. But so many people just wouldn't get it. All that this film stands for comes out in my favorite scene in all of cinema, so it serves as a good reference point to tell you what I love about this film. The scene where Arthur Fleck lays out why he went insane to Murray Franklin and the audience of not only the in-universe talk show, but the film's audience. Not all of them made of good Samaritans that would initially pity Arthur. Murray Franklin is the epitome of toxic celebrity high-class culture, and here comes the Joker to get back at society's false idols. Was it wrong to execute someone on live TV? Yeah, but can you blame him? There's like no way out for him. The Joker is all that he's been rewarded for in society. What the film tried to warn us about is what happens when people like this are neglected, and Arthur is the pinnacle of this. The song in the background bashes and bashes until it reaches its breaking point, and Arthur delivers his iconic line.
How about another joke, Murray?
No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash!
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get!
Call the police.
You get what you fucking deserve!
He bursts Murray's head open. Utter masterpiece. In the end, it displays how the world can take an innocent man and turn him into a monster in such a captivating way. It is deathly relatable to anyone that sees it. It is utterly miserable at every turn. It is real, but all you must do is put on a happy face for the world. This is my favorite film of all time. Just 10 out of 10. 0 films remain, so let's head to the conclusion. Alright, we finally arrived at the end. To end this video, I want to guess why a lot of the films attached to the literally me meme or the male loneliness movement just so happen to be utter masterpieces. 1. These films are recognizable, so let's attach them to this to get more traction. Or 2. The most compelling and beautiful art just so happens to be the things that strike a chord with us on a personal level. The second one is what I truly believe. To explain this as simply as possible, the worst pieces of media can be described as impersonal, bland, unable to make sense even with its own logic, and mean-spirited to the audience in a non-compelling way. From there, we can assume the opposite is true. The best art can be described as personal and resonant, creative, and able to connect with us, even with the abstraction of fiction, and feel like a good friend of our own. What started out as a joke ranking video, ranking all the films for incels, blossomed into a video about how we connect with art on a personal level. Sometimes it's through memes, and sometimes it's through neat little ranking videos on the internet. If you have a character you relate to a lot, comment it down below. I'm most likely gonna like and reply to it. Thank you all so much for being patient enough to watch till the end. I love you all so much. Like and subscribe. It only takes a second. Bye.